Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something really cool, totally inspired by Dr. Kem's cinematic educational lecture. We're going to talk about how we connect the completely invisible, submicroscopic atomic world to the everyday reality that we actually touch and measure in the lab. I mean, it's a story of just mind-blowing scale, human ingenuity, and this one truly massive number that literally changes how we understand the building blocks of the universe.
Okay, let's just jump right into our roadmap for today. First up, counting the invisible world. Then we'll answer the big question, what actually is a mole? After that, we'll clear up some common stoichiometry misconceptions, trace the history of Avogadro's number, and finally, look at the modern SI redefinition.
All right, starting off with part 1, counting the invisible world and the chemist's dilemma. So I really want you to think about this for a second. How do you count what you absolutely can't see? Think about it. If you're a chemist and you're trying to set up a very specific reaction, you have to know exactly how many atoms you're mixing together, right? But laboratory scales, even the absolute most advanced ones on the planet, they just aren't sensitive enough to weigh a single invisible atom. It barely even registers. To put that into perspective, it's kind of like trying to weigh a single grain of sand compared to a whole 30-gram cup of it. And actually, scratch that. A single atom is far, far smaller than a grain of sand. You just can't work with just one atom. Instead, as Dr. Kem brilliantly points out in his lecture, chemists have to work with massive, literal bucketfuls of particles to measure anything practically. So we desperately need a way to group these microscopic particles into a giant macroscopic pile that we can actually pop onto a scale. Which brings us to part 2. What is a mole? The ultimate human-defined bridge.
Okay, behold, Avogadro's number. It's 6.022140076 times 10 to the 23rd power. That is roughly 602 sextillion. It's an almost incomprehensibly massive number. But it represents the exact count of particles in just one single mole.
So what exactly is a mole then? Well, formally, it's the SI base unit for the amount of a substance, but really, it just acts as the chemist's counting unit. Conceptually, it's exactly the same as saying a dozen when you mean 12 or score when you mean 20. But because atoms are just so mind-bogglingly tiny, our counting unit has to be scaled way, way up to this massive sextillion figure just to give us an amount that we can actually see and weigh in real life. And this brilliantly illustrates how the mole sits right in the center of everything. It acts as this vital bridge, converting those completely invisible molecular counts into tangible laboratory grams. You essentially use Avogadro's number to jump between the raw number of particles and moles, and then you use molar mass to jump between those moles and physical grams. What's really fascinating here is just how incredibly versatile this counting unit is. The rule applies to literally any elementary entity. Whether you're dealing with atomic nitrogen, molecular nitrogen gas, silver atoms, or silver ions, one mole always means you have Avogadro's number of that specific thing. Moving right along to section 3, common stoichiometric misconceptions, count versus mass. I definitely want to call out this classic mix-up directly because it happens all the time. People hear mole and think, oh, 1 mole means 1 molecule. No way. The totally crucial point here is that mole tells you how many particles you have. You know that 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd number? It does not tell you what type of particle it is. It's purely a count, not a description of the object itself. Think of it through this amazing analogy from our sources. Imagine you have a giant bag with 3 moles of tennis balls and another bag with 3 moles of footballs. Both bags have the exact same count of items in them, right? But because a football is obviously much heavier than a tennis ball, the masses of those 2 bags are going to be completely, drastically different. You have got to firmly separate the concept of count from mass. Translating that back to chemistry, different atoms have different atomic masses. So 1 mole of carbon-12 atoms weighs 12 grams. But 1 mole of water molecules weighs about 18 grams, and a mole of table salt weighs over 58 grams. The molar mass changes completely based on what the substance actually is, but the particle count inside that mole, that remains strictly fixed at Avogadro's number every single time. All right, let's shift gears to part 4, the history of Avogadro's number, and why it's such a uniquely human endeavor. Figuring this all out was a massive, multi-generational human effort. It all kicked off back in 1811 when Amedeo Avogadro proposed that equal volumes of gas contain equal numbers of particles. Fast forward a bit to 1865, and Joseph Loschmidt used gas laws to make the first real mathematical estimates of particle counts. But it actually wasn't until 1909 that French physicist Jean Perrin formally coined the term Avogadro's number and used Brownian motion to calculate a value that's actually extremely close to what we use today.
And this human endeavor extended to the terminology itself, too. German chemists August Wilhelm Hofmann and Wilhelm Ostwald were absolutely instrumental in taking these concepts and firmly integrating the terms molar and mole into our standard chemistry vocabulary right around the turn of the 20th century. Here's a really surprising linguistic fact for you, though. The term moles was historically used by the Romans to describe these heavy harbor breakwaters and giant millstones. It was adopted into chemistry specifically to distinguish large, macroscopic heavy masses from the tiny, submicroscopic world of molecules. Kind of a cool connection, right? Let's move to our final section and see how all this builds to Part 5, the modern SI redefinition, the 2019 shift. So, before 2019, the mole was physically anchored to a real-world object. It was defined as the amount of atoms in exactly 12 grams of carbon-12. But in 2019, the scientific community made a huge decision to unlink it from physical mass entirely. The mole is now defined strictly as an exact, fixed numerical constant. This completely decoupled it from any experimental mass uncertainty in the laboratory. A real game changer. And modern computational physics is taking this even further today. New research shows that Avogadro's number isn't just some random arbitrary rule we made up, it's actually deeply intertwined with nuclear saturation and atomic mass units. But using the first principles of nuclear physics, scientists can now show that Avogadro's number is essentially the inverse of the computed unified atomic mass unit. It's just a breathtaking connection between the very forces that hold a nucleus together and the macroscopic grams we actually measure. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to take away. The speed of light, that's a law of nature. But Avogadro's number is ultimately a human-defined bridge. It's a convention that we created to scale the universe down to our own hands so we can actually comprehend it. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other quote-unquote fundamental constants are really just practical lenses we've built to make sense of reality? Keep exploring, keep counting, and hey, thanks for joining me on this explainer.